Mula sa kabisera ng Inglaterra, sa puso ng Britanya, London, UK. London, UK. Ito ang Channel Philippines Network, Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK. Sumasahing papawid, 24 oras. 24 oras. Buong linggo. Sa www.pinoyradiouk.com. Ang mga pinakapaborito mga awitin, mga pinakaabangang programa, at mga sariwang balita at impormasyon mula at para sa mga kababayang Pilipino sa UK at sa buong mundo. Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK.
Okay, naku, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, no? Happy Tuesday ho. Welcome ho dito sa ating programang Legal Advice Corner on a Happy Tuesday. Magandang gabi ho sa ating mga kababayan sa apat na sulok ho ng United Kingdom. At syempre, welcome din ho yung ating mga kababayan na nasa almost the same time zone, no? Dito ho sa Europa. Welcome ho sa ating programa. No, ako po si Sonny Laragan, ang inyong laging nakikita rito every Tuesday, no? Happy Tuesday dito po sa Filipino TV Europe. Pero syempre, no, hindi ho ako ang star of the show dahil wala naman ako masyadong kaalaman or malawak na kaalaman kung ang bataso dito sa United Kingdom ang pinag-uusapan. Kasama ho natin syempre yung Brains and Beauty na galing ho sa kanyang pangalan nun? Camino de... Ano pangalan yun? But anyway, malalaman natin. No? Yung walk sa... Santiago de Compostela, no, tingnan natin kung may hangover pa o may para bang yun, earthquake ho ba, di ba? Meron pang aftershocks, no. Siyempre, pabatiin na natin at kumustahin natin yung ating Brains and Beauty, no, dito po sa Legal Advice Corner. Walang iba kundi ang paborito ko rin siyempre, no. Napaka-sweet ho na kaibigan ito. Walang iba kundi si Attorney DANNA QUINTO. Attorney, magandang gabi. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Mr. Laragan. Ako, paborito ko rin po kayo. Welcome back sa ating Dagdag Kaalaman Day, sa ating remote social bubble, and sa ating little community here. Welcome back. Tuloy po kayo. Whether, sabi mo nga, galing ba silang the same time zone natin or galing silang Europe, America, Pilipinas, welcome
Yes.
po kayo. How are you, Mr. Laragan?
Nakaligtaan ko.
Nagbago ka na naman ng venue. Hinanap ko kanina yung co-host natin last week, pero hindi pala siya. Bumuwi na ata yung Mingming natin na co-host.
Si Black Mingming. I was surprised. Pero alam mo, I was surprised last time. Pero nakakatuwa, alam mo, parang na-embolden si Mingming, si Black Ming. Dahil alam niyang umiiwas yung tao sa amin eh. May approaching, may hawak na aso, ganyan. Iiwas sila eh. So, naging kampante na siya nandun sa harapan ko na nakahiga na. Talagang parang, nagpaikot-ikot pa, no? But it was fun, it was fun, no? Last week, no? Nung nag-show tayo. Kaya, pinaalala mo pala na hindi ko nga nabati yung mga nasa Pilipinas, nasa Amerika, Canada, at saan mang bahagi ng mundo na nanonood sa atin. Welcome ho kayo. Tuloy po kayo, kabayan. Pero syempre, we are broadcasting live dito sa United Kingdom. Ayan. Ikaw, anong mga pinagkaabalahan mo? Bumalik na ba kayo ulit sa inyong physical fitness,
Friday,
something yata? Was it Friday that you were doing?
Thursday sometimes.
Ah,
Thursday, inisip ko
Thursday.
pa eh kung ano Tuesday o Thursday. Thursday legally fit. Hindi pa. Medyo andito pa kami sa medyo mainit kasi. Mainit kasi ng mga nakaraang araw dito at medyo tinatamad. Yun na yung tinatamad pa. At siguro ako eh nagre-recover ng slight kasi medyo ano na I did feel a bit physically exhausted. Although I'm looking at ano pa yung bundok na pwede uling maakyat o next adventure kumbaga. After that Camino de Santiago, yeah, 1 month now. It was a month ago. It was about 3 weeks ago. Around this time I started, a month ago I started the 7 day 5 days of walking but 7 day adventure including travel. Napakasaya, highly recommended po if you're looking for a once in a lifetime adventure.
Yan ang maganda, mga adventures. Actually, life, no? Tama. I don't know how you do it, no? But do you plan, for example, uh, nagpaplano ka ba? Ano ba ang mga pupuntahan ko? So, kamukha nun, you were supposed to go to sa birthday mo, no? Ng Athens, but it had to be moved back, no? Sa March ba? Kailan ba na-move yun? Kasi alam ko, February kami.
End of
March ka ba?
Feb.
April? Kailan ka ba napunta?
End
End ka
of
ng
Feb
Feb.
to
Okay. So, halos konti lang. Oh, less than 2 weeks
Manila.
siguro ang pagitan natin, no? So, yeah, I guess ganun na eh, no? Yung mga adventures, it's more of adventures that you look forward to. Life, you have to color your life or make it colorful by way of these activities, no? Yung mga pinupuntahan mo. So tama yun, once in a
Oh,
lifetime ma-experience natin because ano yan eh, kumbaga, ano yan, for many years na siguro, hindi naman century, na may century na kayang ano yan, na ginagawa yan
century na.
sa
Centuries.
centuries na, centuries old tradition or something that has been done by a lot of people. Oh, okay, okay. Pero you say akyat. When you say akyat naman na bundok, wala ka na ano, no? Naakyat mo na lahat ng bundok sa UK, no?
May mga bucket list pa, may mga special na mga bundok na hindi ko pa naakyat o ruta ng isang bundok na hindi ko pa nagagawa. So may ruta ang Ben Nevis, yung scenic route ng Ben Nevis, the CMD Ret route na gustong-gusto kong magawa one day, and that would take a preparation. That's something that I would need to uh, probably plan, especially weather for that type of trip. So lahat naman tayo iba-iba yung trip natin. Hindi naman lahat gusto mo mundok. So whatever it is na gusto niyong gawin, hopefully you're looking forward to something that you want to do in the next few months. Parte yan, sabi mo nga Mr. Laragan, parte yan ng buhay na hindi lang routine, hindi lang yung kumbaga yung grind natin every day yung nasa isip natin. It's always very refreshing, and it makes you more uh, probably more present in the moment kung alam mo talaga kung ano yung gusto mong gawin. Alam mo yung ano yung moments ng buhay mo na gusto mong i-build. Hindi lang puro trabaho. Sabi ko nga, I don't want it na sa end ng buhay ko nakalagay sa epitaph ko, I paid all my bills on time. So, you wanna have a
Yung ganun
life
lang.
that is
Yung
you
ganun
wanna
lang eh,
have a
no?
life
Yung
that
ganun lang, ganun kasimple.
I paid all my bills on
Oo.
time, and
Oo.
but that's for me. That's a personal for me. That is a
Okay.
personal. It's a personal uh, maybe wish. I suppose that's the right way. A
So,
personal ambition, a personal mantra.
may bucket list ka. I think you mentioned a bucket list. Meron ka ba bucket list for the next succeeding months or years? Ano ba ang gusto mo pang gawin? Ano ba you've done the Camino de Santiago, di ba? You've done the walk, no? Sa Santiago. And you've done previously yung mga climbs mo sa mountains, no? Ano pang gustong gawin for the next? Meron ka na bang nakalaan o yung sites mo for the next few months or a year's time? Anong mga plano mong gawin?
Siguro may
Adventure, I
moving
mean.
may mga in principle. I wouldn't necessarily say it specifically. Siguro hindi lang physical adventures. You know, bucket list, hindi lang naman yan holiday. For me, personally, hindi lang naman yan, oh, I want to do this or want to have this material things. I think it's for me, it's composed of also things that you want to achieve professionally, things that you want to achieve as a person, you know, psychologically, emotionally, you want to be able to feel a certain, you know, you want to be able to have uh, a certain contentment sa buhay mo. I think yun yung hahanapin, hindi yung, for me, hindi yung goals. It's always about kakalibrate mo yung buhay mo. Ano ba yung gusto ko? Ano ba yung moments na pag andun ako sa huli, yung slideshow ng buhay ko, eh, masaya ako, na kontento ako, na lahat ng time ko sa mundo ko, eh, nagawa ko na maayos. Hindi lang para sa sarili ko, but then, you know, we all have siguro goals in terms of um, having that satisfaction sa buhay natin. It's not just buying or going on holidays. It's hopefully it's also about making sure na may impart din tayo sa ibang tao. So may inward at may outward din na mga goals. So yun I would say that may mga goals na ganon. Hindi lang I want to do this, but I want to be able to also, you know, have this siguro legacy or a certain addition ng value sa ibang tao, hindi lang sa sarili ko. So and it's changing kung ano ka sa buhay mo, it's changing 1 year and then the next year iba na yung landscape ng buhay mo, mag-iiba naman yan. So I think the always bucket list is to be able to feel that contentment. Alam mo sa sarili mo when you go home and you've used up yung pinakamahalagang currency sa buhay natin, in my opinion, is not money, but time. Yung time natin, lahat yan in-exchange natin for a certain experience, yung time natin in-exchange natin for trabaho, which in turn nagiging monetary, which in turn we buy more experiences of. So really, the most valuable currency is time dahil limited lang tayo dito eh. So I want to make sure na yung currency ko ng time maayos at nagagamit ko ng tama. Hindi lang para sa sarili ko, but you know, my loved ones and the people around me.
Alright. Malalim yung attorney. Bigla akong
Legal advice
Malalim.
corner po tayo. Balik tayo. Balik po tayo. Naging tayo.
Malalim yun.
Naging muni-muni
Ikaw ba?
advice corner.
Hindi. Ibig sabihin ko. Hindi kasi di ba sometimes people say na, oh, you know, sometimes they mouth it. They say, life is short, time is short. They parang, you know, when doing things, no? But when it comes to doing things, they don't do it. They just mouth it. Lalo na yung mga nasa edad na, yung mga nasa edad ko, I don't know with somebody like you. Ikaw, you're so way young, no? Ikaw yata almost half ng edad ko, no? Kalahati ng edad ko.
I think you're hindi naman half talaga. I think you're younger than kung dadoblehin yung edad ko. I think.
Ay, hindi naman. Pero yun nga, pero ibig sabihin na with you, you could probably say that ganun nga, no? You're trying to, yung may professionally, in a way, kung professionally, is it being there for the next 10 years ba? Where else would you go to? Will you, it's either, di ba, andun ka sa highest position yata dyan sa ano ninyo, dyan sa firm ninyo, di ba, sa law firm? So professionally, ano pa ba ang gusto ni attorney? Are you, is it in the hope that someday you're gonna create your own company o ganun ba? O paano ba yan?
I think professionally, it's not just about reaching milestones as well. I think professionally, you're learning every day. Every day, you know, yung edad ko sa industriya, failing ko. Katulad ng mentor ko na 50 years sa industriya. It's not, you know, meron pa, mahaba-haba pa yung journey ko, and whatever that brings, you just hope you're a bit better tomorrow than you were yesterday. And I think I've heard of that saying. It was a Japanese saying that make kaizen. I think that you grow a bit better. You really do feel it as a professional. Na uh, there are, you learn, you become a bit more siguro, yung reflexes mo are better, and you do hope na ano man yon, whatever's in store for you in the future, that you do hope that maayos mong nagagampanan. Hindi lang yung profession mo. Some of us, we call it a vocation. Hindi lang to dahil I want to be there, I want to do that. I think at the end of the day, small case, big case, you go home and you think, nagawa ko kung ano yung dapat kong gawin dyan, or I made the right decision for that, for that case, for that family. Yun ang I think on a what we call a little bit of a micro level in a case. Yun ang gusto mong maano na you get better. You maximize your potential as a lawyer. You maximize your skill as a lawyer. You go home and you make wise decisions about other people's lives. And we take that very seriously. We always have legal advice corner. May mga disclaimer tayo. You ask about your certain case. Kasi yun talaga eh. Iba-iba. We can't treat cases na en masse, in carte blanche, in one go. Each person, they carry their own personality, they carry their own yung buhay nila, yung buhay ng kalaban nila, and all the other factors of the case. And this is also may ecosystem sila. This is a living organism, family yan, kung divorce man yan, may bata. So it's a huge responsibility na yung mabibigyan mo ng matutulungan mong magdesisyon ng tama yung kliyente para sa buhay niya. And we take that very seriously. I think much more than achieving things, you do hope that you make wiser and wiser and wiser decisions every day as you go along.
Sabi mo nga, di ba, parang continuous yan, parang learning, growing pa, no? Although how long have you been in the as a lawyer na industry? Na ilang taong ka na ba? Yes, legal profession.
Sa industry, about 12 years, qualified, fully
12
qualified.
years.
About 8 years as fully qualified lawyer.
Okay,
8 years qualified. So
sabihin natin 12 years in total, no? 12 years, because from the start of the learning process until you qualified na 8 years ago, sabi mo nga, it's still growing and learning, no? Pero the mere fact, attorney, no, you never ever imagined that you're gonna be a lawyer. Diba? Nung bata ka siguro, malaki ka sa Pilipinas, from Marikina to Coronadal, from Marikina to Coronadal. Marikina, diba? Marikina to Coronadal, and then eventually came over, did some chefing, you never ever imagined. Pero, and here you are now, entrusted with the job of being the managing partner of your law firm. Pilipina ka, attorney. Imagine how many years ago? 2 years, 3 years ago, when you were just starting out with the firm, and now nearly 2, and now you're on top. Nearly 3. Imagine mo, you're now at the helm. I don't think that when you came in, you would ever imagine that you would be tasked or be assigned or be given that job of very very challenging job of being the managing partner, So, well, kudos sa'yo. I'm really, and yet you talk about hindi carte blanche na ang mga kaso, individual yan, and the learning process still going on, and you parang look high upon the guy ba, lalaki, yung may 50 years of legal experience. No?
I mean, that's Phil, 50 years, and then another Phil and David. Phil's 50 years in the industry, and David, who's like a father to me, 35 years, I think, 35 years in the industry. So very veterano. And even sila, veterano sila, sinasabi nila sa akin, look, matututo ka pa rin kahit andito ka sa stage ng career nila. And they learn from the younger ones. In the same way, ako din nakikita ko na you don't do it alone. May yung mga ka-team member ko, colleagues ko, they're all part of kung ano man yung, kung nasan man tayo ngayon, lahat yon naging factor. They help out, and they make you learn too. They make you they sometimes they teach you as well. And I think in any industry, you can't really do it alone, without any regard to people around you. Mataas man sa'yo in terms of role or mas mababa sa'yo. I think the relationship, especially in business and in any industry, it's very, very important.
Okay. Ikaw, solicitor ka, no? Tanong ko lang, you've got mentors 50, 35 years, mga kakilala mo. Diyan ba sa profession mo, is it normal o hindi, normal or not to see, say, a solicitor at 65, 70, 75 years old? Meron pa bang mga practicing law solicitors ba at those ages?
Madami.
70, 75, 65? Ah, hindi
Madami
ah?
pa rin. Madami pa rin.
Really?
And most of them is because ito yung buhay nila eh. It's not because
Okay.
they needed the money, but because they
They
enjoy
enjoy
doing it. Some of them, yeah, they enjoy doing it. They
Oh,
like doing it for a few years, and they like pushing it on until judges are in their 70s. I think may ano ba yung um, uh, retirement age. I checked it, but you often see judges very, very quite in their late 60s, and may mga lawyers din in their late 60s, because it's become a vacation, it's become a way of life. Na ito yung service na natutunan nila buong buhay nila. I could totally see that na yun na yung, kumbaga most of them would go into probably a streamlined practice, hindi na yung
mm.
katulad ng ginagawa natin ngayon, very long
Ano
hours.
yan?
But
Ano yung streamline? Ano yung streamline? Ano yung streamline practice?
some of them would go on consultancy for a few years before
Okay.
retirement. So some of them would go into a very niche area of law, and was with notary public. That's one thing yung sinasabi ko. A notary public po dito is a specialized area. Hindi po lahat ng abogado ay notary public dito. Or notary, hindi na notary public, notary. So you often see that with older lawyers, notary. So that's one thing, because I know may kilala ko dati from my previous firm. So that's one thing. Or just one area. So normally 3 areas in all their lives, but they might streamline it into one area, and they might just go to work part-time until they probably feel, oh, I should probably retire now. So yun ang nakikitang step. It's not for everyone, but late nag-retire yung mentor ko, and then yung isa pang mentor ko, it's, he just loves doing it. So he loves working. He loves doing it. He loves the intellectual element of
Oo. Of
of the profession. Yung
being a
natututo
solicitor,
siya,
no? Of the profession, yeah. Yeah,
siya
yeah. Okay.
yung puzzle problem solving element noon, it can be very exciting. If you're a law student, that's one thing na may adrenaline ka parati, kasi alam mo, you may sense of urgency, you're trying to fix something, and then pag na-fix mo, you feel a certain level of satisfaction.
Okay, wow. Hindi na kita tatanungin kung meron ka rin nakikitang barrister na sa late 60s, nasa 70s.
Meron din. Meron din.
Meron din.
Meron
Okay, meron din. Okay,
din.
attorney, yung little game natin, at least very interesting yan. So, ikaw, you're very young now. Probably, you were telling me about marami din, mga lawyers na nasa 70s, late 60s, no? Because they love it. They love the game. They love the excitement, siguro, probably, and the love of the law, no? And that's the reason why that they're still there. And ikaw siguro, I'm 30, 40 years from now, andiyan ka pa rin siguro. And
Most likely.
nakakatawa because abogada kang Pilipina dito sa United Kingdom. Diba? Yan ang nakakatuwa. Okay, attorney, mag-ano muna tayo.
Tutulungan natin ang
Yung game natin,
community as long as we, sabi ko, tutulungan natin as long as we can, and as long as andito kaya, I would see myself hopefully na andito pa kahit medyo matanda na.
Hindi, tsaka ito na eh. Ito na yung life mo. Ito na yung naanohan mo, di ba? Siguro ikaw na lang yung solicitor na every year may mga adventures na nagkakayaking ka sa Canada siguro. Next baka windsurfing ka sa Bahamas. Di ba? Tipong ganyan na siguro lang. Tapos babalik ka ulit sa work. Talagang todo sa trabaho. Tapos, baka mamaya Mount Everest naman, attorney. Di ba?
Sounds fun.
You are the one you are the engineer, architect of your life. So, nobody will have to do it for you. You will have, no, di ba? Ikaw ang gagawa niyan. Ikaw ang aakit ng bundok. Ikaw ang mag-ano. And you are the one, and that experience is yours. Ibig sabihin, kamakanan learning. Learning is self-activity. Whatever you learned as a lawyer, the knowledge that you have, it was you, sa'yo yan. You cannot just take it off and give it to somebody else. It's a personal experience yan. So, which is saludo kami sa'yo. I am saludo, honestly, saludo ko sa'yo because you have done very well. No, so, hindi basta-basta yan, di ba? Attorney, mag-game na muna tayo. Mag-game muna tayo, ha? Direct, sige, yung bumper. Teka muna. Anong topic natin? Ang topic natin topic natin yan?
Matrimonial and non-matrimonial property in divorce. So we touched upon it last week briefly. So babalikan natin siya ngayon. Yung general principles lang. We're not gonna go into a deep dive.
Yeah.
Hopefully user-friendly to. Hindi to kasi napaka-technical po ito na topic kahit for lawyers. It tends to be very heavy, very complex. I'm gonna try to give just a snapshot mamaya para alam nyo kung ano yung overview.
Okay, matrimonial and non-matrimonial, no? Okay. All right. So, attorney, sino unang bumate? Alam mo na, marami tayong mga contenders diyan. Pero what do you think today? Would you go by your gut? Somebody new? Somebody is the regular? Sino kaya?
Sa tingin ko, si Marian Galicia Paner. Gut lang.
Marian Galicia Paner. Gut lang. Sige, tingnan natin. Direct, sige, go. Ayan.
Yes!
Uy! Galing naman.
That
Si
feeling.
Marian.
Hello, Marian Galicia Paner. Good to see you. Ayun, finally, di ba, valedictorian ka today, Marian Galicia Paner. Kasi parati siya nakunahan ng ating
Ano siya? Summa cum laude.
Summa cum laude. Summa cum laude.
Okay.
Latin
Mamaya,
honors.
magna cum laude susunod. Yeah.
Magna cum laude. Basahin natin, Mr. Larayan.
Sige,
Hello po,
attorney. Sige.
And ni Dana, at sa lahat, happy Tuesday po and stay safe always. God bless us po. God bless you too, Marian Galicia Paner. Summa cum laude.
Alam mo, gusto kong I hope I get to see her, no? Dahil nakita na natin si Ana Londo Puesto, nakita na natin si Emeline Rafael, si Ma'am Cora, no? Most of yung mga iba, no? Yung mga ganyan, kamukha ni except si Oliver, dahil malayo, nasa Canada, nasa Seattle yan, no? Malayo, no? Pero yan,
si Oliver,
nasa po si Marian?
Nasa Pilipinas.
Nasa Pilipinas ka? Nasa Pilipinas? Nasa Pilipinas ba? Oo nga pala, Yes, nga, meron siyang message na parang di ba, madaling araw pa siya, nanonood yata. So, okay.
Yeah.
So, sino pangalawa natin? Tama ka, good ka na sa ating summa cum laude.
Speaking of Oliver Fernandez, sa tingin ko, siya ang
si Oliver.
Magna
Sige.
cum laude.
Magna cum laude natin. Sino kaya?
Ay, si Edgardo! Edgardo Kagahasyan.
Si Edgardo. Kagahasyan. Hindi ko nakikita kasi putol yung pangalan sa ilalim.
Author ng Happy Tuesday.
Yes.
Credit for
Happy
credit
Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Rainy Tuesday to Mr. Laragan, Attorney Dana, direct bawal to the viewers. Work from home today. Looking forward to lots of learning again today. Thanks. Nako, thank you din.
Mabuhay ka. Yes, Edgardo, mabuhay,
Oo,
Oo nga, oo nga, oo.
napaka,
Happy Tuesday. Taga Morden yan. Taga Morden yan si, ano, si Edgardo. No? Mabuhay ka, Edgardo. Ha? At pagka ganyan ba, masaya ka pag work from home ka? O ikaw ay, ano, okay sa'yo? Ikaw ba'y may
oo,
pusa sa bahay?
mga,
Di ba? No?
oo, ano
Na
bang
medyo
preference mo?
umihima-hima sa paa mo. Oo nga, anong preference?
Yung ka ba?
So, oo, oo. So, ayan. Okay. O sige, yung ating cum laude naman ngayon. So, magna cum laude si Edgardo for today. No? Sino naman ang ating cum laude? Tingnan natin,
Sa
sige,
tingin
attorney.
ko, naalala ko lang si Edgar Duway kasi nakita ko yung halo-halo.
Edgar
Ilang araw na
Duway.
nakahalo-halo si Edgar Duway, nakakainggit.
Ah, really? Oh, okay, okay, okay. Halo-halo, ha? Sige, let's go.
Halo-halo.
Tingnan, Edgar Duway ba? Hmm?
Ay, si Oliver Fernandez! Naku, anong
Oliver
oras na dyan,
Fernandez!
Oliver?
Uy,
Present po.
Valenzuela
Such a
City.
Vanessa.
Oh,
What's your favorite Tuesday program from Valenzuela City, Philippines? Nako,
wow! Nasa Valenzuela.
nako, Cherokee.
Oh,
Special mention, nako. Special mention. Nakakatuwa dahil gising na gising para sa checking of
nasa ano yan?
attendance.
City na yan, Valenzuela. No? I grew up in that area. I'm at the area Caloocan, Valenzuela. Oo, so malapit-lapit lang
Manila
sa yan. No?
talaga, no?
Actually,
Manila.
Valenzuela,
Manila po talaga. Doon talaga.
Malina o Metro Manila yan. Ang Valenzuela used to be a part of Bulacan. Tapos eventually,
Ah,
di ba yung Metro Manila, some parts
yeah.
of Rizal, some parts of Cavite, gano'n. Mga Las Piñas yata, Cavite yata. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, ha. Basta may parts ng mga na-chop off sa mga mother provinces nila
Ah,
eventually gets to be comprised or a part of Metro Manila. And kamukha ng Makati, Rizal yan nung araw, no? Ano pa ba? Mga mga
talaga po?
Tagig, ano ba ang Tagig?
Ano,
Yeah,
Rizal?
oh. Marikina was part of Rizal. Marikina nga yan, city
Yeah,
na yan, di ba? But that used,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, that used to
Rizal.
be a part, oh, a part, that used to be a part of Rizal yat, Rizal. Oh, mga ganun. Yung mga Bulacan, yan, Valenzuela sa Bulacan galing yan. Ah, ano pa ba? May mga areas Cavite yata, yung mga Las Piñas yata. I think Las Piñas, if I'm not mistaken, was a part of Cavite na eventually became a part of Metro Manila. So may mga areas
Wow.
Oo, kaya ganun, no. So, mabuhay, mabuhay yung mga taga Valenzuela, kalalong-lalo na, at maswerte kayo, andyan si Oliver Fernandez ngayon. Mula sa, taga saan siya? Taga Washington
Seattle.
State, no? Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
Seattle, yeah,
Washington.
Seattle, Washington State. Oo. Ayan, so, sino to?
Present din po si Tita Cora natin, the beautiful Tita
Oh, si Ma'am
Cora.
Cora.
Yeah, Ma'am Cora. Good
Oo.
evening, Sir Sonny, Attorney Donna, Queen of Beauty. And all, masaya and fruitful night from here
Uy,
to Manila. Wala,
nasa
nasa Manila ka
Manila
na
na,
ba?
oh.
Or to Manila.
Oh, wow. I was even, iniisip ko pa naman, iniisip ko siya kanina eh. Sabi ko,
Nandiyan
okay,
ka na ba,
nakaalis na
Tita?
pala, tatanungin ko.
Or
Oo,
from
sa
Manila ka
Manila.
na ba?
Oh,
Or andiyan ka na ba talaga? Or from here, UK to Manila? Ano ba yan? Kasi akala ko, ano pa end of August pa, alis niya. So, tanong natin kay Tita Cora. Tita Cora, nasan po kayo?
parang hindi ko maintindihan. Masaya and fruitful night from here to Manila?
Baka binibigay para
Baka on the
sa
way siya. Baka in
kay
transit siya. Baka
Oliver
in
from all
transit.
the way. Oh.
Baka
Oo
in
nga,
transit
nasan?
siya. Baka
Baka
parang,
online, baka
baka
in transit
moving
siya.
siya. Baka in
Yeah.
transit siya. Oo, in transit siguro
Tita
yan. Oh.
Cora,
So,
nasan po
mabuhay kung
kayo?
saan ka.
Mabuhay ka pa rin.
Dubai,
Oo.
Turkey. Maganda sa Turkey, attorney. Have you, maganda Turkey, yung
Maganda
airport
ba,
ng Turkey.
Turkey? Lagay natin sa
Oo,
bucket
malaki,
list
maganda.
yan.
Hindi, malaki, maganda. Maganda yung kanilang modern na airport. Parang bagong airport yun. Turkish Airlines kasi I think I took a flight back to the Philippines then. Nung birthday ko yata, yun ang ginamit namin Turkish Airlines. Maganda.
Maganda.
Oo, lumalaban yata ang Turkish Airlines yan, sino yan, Tony?
Gigi El Amparo, yung love na love ko, yung kanyang love na love ko din si Gigi. At ang kanyang profile picture, gusto ko
Nagkamali
yung
lang ang
profile.
pangalan niya, Gigi. Nagkamali lang pangalan, Gigi. Akala niya siguro Huwebes ngayon. na
Attorney Lira.
time
Ay,
ano
pala,
niya. So,
good evening pa rin tayo kay Attorney Lira. Okay lang yan. And Kuya Sonny, happy Tuesday, everyone.
okay lang,
Happy
okay lang.
Tuesday.
Oh.
Okay lang yan. Kasi love na love natin si Attorney Lira eh. Nakakatawa din
Hindi, minsan
kasama yun.
nagkakapalit-palit, di ba? Kasi parang dalawa
Nakaka-
kasi abogado, isang si Attorney Dana at si Attorney Lira. Ayan, oh. Mabuhay ha, Gigi Elamparo. No, nakakatuwa naman, no? Ganda ng pangalan niya,
Yeah.
Elamparo, no? Parang pagka ganyan naalala ko si yung Aladdin, yung di ba, Lampara. Di ba? Parang hinihimas-himas. Elamparo, yan. Taga saan mga Elamparo ba? Taga saan sa Pilipinas? Ayan.
Taga-sampu.
Okay, sige. Ayan. Sino to?
Zena
May bagong
Reyes
pangalan.
Olena. Bago pa tuloy po kayo. Good evening, Attorney Donna and Sir Sonny. Happy rainy Tuesday day. Nice. It's a bit cooler than the previous days. Agree po. Pinag-uusapan natin kanina.
Agree.
Mr. Lorado. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Napakainit kasi nung nakaraang araw dito sa UK. So we are quite happy for a rainy Tuesday. It's 21 degrees at the moment, so that's good. That's better.
Okay, all right. So that's si taga sa side, ano pangalan niya? Hindi ko kasi makita yung ilalim, attorney, ano pangalan niya itong nakikita?
Zena Reyes Bolena. Zena.
Bolena, Sena Bolena. Sorry? Okay. Sena Bolena, okay. Right, okay. O nga, parang umulan sa area dito sa amin, sa Southwest London, pero hindi naman ganun katagal. It was yesterday, was the malakas. Yesterday yung talagang malakas na malakas. Diyan ba sa opisina sa Bedford?
Mainit po kahapon
Alright. Hindi, pero gabi. Di ba umulan ng gabi?
Gabi.
O hapon?
No, hindi
pero maliwanag.
hapon.
Really?
Ngayon
So
yung
iba pa lang,
ulan
dito malakas.
Ngayon po yung ulan.
Iba pa lang ulan sa inyo. Yesterday was really, dito sa Southwest, Wimbledon, Richmond, Putney, ganyan. Umuulan kahapon, malakas. As in, malakas na ang lalaki ng bagsak na. Oo, hindi yung maliliit. Oo, ang laki talaga, attorney, laki talaga. Hindi yung may hangin eh. Normally, pagka nagko-close ako ng mga bintana eh. Pero kagabi, hindi masyado dahil diretso eh. Kasi pagka malakas ang hangin, di ba, pwedeng pasukan yung loob, kung bukas ang bintana mo, papasukan ng tubig. Pero parang diretso lang eh, kaya hindi masyadong problemado, no? So, ayan, meron pa ba tayo direct? Sino pa ba? Sino to?
Si Sis. I call Irene boy si Sis. Hi, si Sis. Hello po, Kuya Sonny and Attorney Sis, Dana. Na-miss ko na kayo. Minsan lang ako mag-off pag Tuesday. It's nice to tune in live sa program. Sis Irene, kamusta? It's good to see you here. Tuloy ka. Nakikita kayo sa derby.
She has lost some weight now and I'm glad, no? She has more or less followed yung ginagawa kong routine and congratulations sana ipagpatuloy mo lang yan. Just persevere to have more, no? So she's lost around, nakalimutan ko lang ilan ang na-lose niya ko, 5 kilos or something. Basta she lost some weight. So congratulations Irene. So yes, sino to?
Marian Galicia Paneris
Si Marian.
Gusto niya din. Gusto ko po kayo na meet in person po. Nakabalik na po ng London. I'm in Cheltenham na po. It's heavy rain tonight.
Wow. Okay. Actually, heavy clouds ngayon, parang thick clouds, no? Ngayon dito na nakikita ko. In fact, tama kayo sinasabi mo, attorney, yung last week ba, a few days ago, di ba, napakainit. I was so thankful, nagpapasalamat ako nandito ako sa UK. Alam mo kung bakit? Kasi nung mainit na yun, kasama ko si Maria, no, yung ating publisher, yung ating managing editor. Hindi ako makahinga. I don't know, do you experience that? Pagka sobrang init, parang hinihingal ka o na parang kinakapos ka na hininga, na parang pagod ka, ganun? O kaya inaantok-antok ka dahil nga sa you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Very classic. No Saturday, parang punta ako sa St. Albans. I had the bright idea na maglalakad ako kasi na-miss ko maglakad, na-miss ko magkamino. Napakainit. Pagdating ko dun sa pupuntahan ko, halos Hindi na ako makahinga sa init. At yun, inantok na sa madaling sa
Oo,
tanghali. Antok.
inaantok ko
Nakaka
para makatulog ka.
It was very exhausting. Yung init dito. Humid eh.
Pero ano
But
nga,
yeah,
alam mo ba actually mas healthy yung lamig eh, yung lamig, yung malamig.
mm,
Healthier than the init eh, di ba? Yung mga init, grabe. Diyan ako sinisipon noong araw sa Pilipinas pero dito, yun nga, parang pagod na pagod ako, parang akong nadidrain, parang wala akong energy, parang hirap maglakad, tinatamad ka, ganun, dahil sa init.
init.
Weekend, tama, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday ba mainit? Medyo rin,
Medyo
konti.
mainit ako dito sa Bedford. Medyo
Medyo
mainit
mainit.
ako.
Oh, okay, okay. Ayan. Ayan. O may mga greetings pa tayo. Sige, direct. Pasok mo ng
Ah,
pasok para before we go into a break and then we have our topic now. Sige. Or,
si
sino to?
Robert H. Young. Na-meet niyo po
Uy, si
ito
Robert
sa
Young.
Darwin.
Yes.
Yes.
Robert, how are you?
Yeah.
Yes. Oo. Ang
Robert
galing yan,
H.
no?
Young says, good evening, Kuya Sonny and Attorney Dana. I'm about to start out kids Tagalog lessons, so I cannot wait to also learn. Ang galing-galing.
Oh, that's
Wow.
good. That's good. That's good. That's good, Robert. Yes, yes, you have to. Being the chairperson, no, president of Nottingham and Derby Filipino Association. Yeah, yeah, you have
Very
to.
good.
You have to. You're missing out on the fun of Filipino life, no, diba?
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
true.
But
That is true.
have you heard of the word pogi? Pogi. Ask your wife about pogi, or does she say, Robert, you're pogi? No, ayan, check that word out. Okay, sino yung biglang may flash direct?
Si Irene. Ayun, ikaw magbabasa, Mr. Laragan, dahil para sa iyo yung message eh. Oh.
Okay.
Ako
Thanks
naman,
nga pala Kuya
hindi ba
Sani at
ako na lang
na-receive
magbabasa.
na namin. Oh, sige,
Ah,
go. Yeah.
Thanks nga pala Kuya Sonny at na-receive na namin ang Yes Philippines newspaper. August is you covering our Derby Fiesta event po. Lots of pictures. Thanks to Ate Sol too for the pics and videos. Yan.
Direct, ano ba yan? Dalawang pages ba sila, ang Derby? Yeah, okay. So, may spread pala. Okay, good. Siyempre, andun tayo, no? We were there. We emceed the event, no? So, yeah, okay. Meron pa ba? O okay na tayo. We'll break na tayo. Going to, ano ba? Direct. Meron pa? Sige, go. Sige.
Edgardo just says, happy to
Oo.
work from home, but sometimes okay then going out. 2 times a week, no. Work from home, okay na.
Okay. So, maganda rin. May combination din. Meron ng tipong limited yung exposure mo doon sa opisina, di ba? Hindi ka doon every day, no? At least, pero you get to see your office mates, no? Okay,
Exactly.
sige, go.
Direct.
Direct.
I mean,
Haba naman ito.
I will
si Irene
promote
ba?
na rin yung movie na Made in Malacanang. It will be aired at Broadway Cinema dito sa Nottingham this coming September 17 from 10 to 12 noon. They can reserve ticket ASAP as we only have limited spaces left. Please contact officers of Filipino Derby and Derbyshire Community or officers of Philbrit, Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, headed by Kuya Robert Young, which greeted us earlier, and or
Yeah.
Ophelia Siamo.
Si Ophel. Yeah, kasi may tindahan si Ophel eh. Okay, si Robert, siya. Kita mo, Derbyshire, Nottingham, siya ang presidente niyan. Okay. Alright, so yun na muna ating mga pagbati for the time being muna, no? Ayan, we're gonna have a short break. At pagbalik ko natin ay yung topic na kaninang medyo pinasadahan ni attorney. So wag ko kayong aalis, no? Ayan. Wag ko kayong aalis at kami po ay magbabalik. Saglit po lamang.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon, serbisyong mapagkakatiwalaan, serbisyong maaasahan pagdating sa inyong mga padalang balikbayan boxes. Dito ka na sa Forex Cargo. Sa presyong kayang-kaya ng bulsa, sigurado ka pa sa inyong padala. Forex Cargo. Dahil kailangan makarating. Call 0208-813-7064. O ano pang inaantay niyo mga kabayan? Tayo na sa Forex Cargo.
100% all natural. Tasty. Healthy. versatile. 4 unique flavors. Taste a real sauce. Galetos.
May problema ka ba sa landlord mo? Baka AV ka na ni Kuya. May problema sa mga kapitbahay, sa trabaho. O kaya naman kay Mister o kay Mrs. Away tungkol sa mana, mga may utang, mga aksidente, daing o laban sa ospital or sa NHS. Harassment? O baka naman may stalker ka na gusto mong ireklamo? Punta na sa DV Solicitors para matulungan ka pagdating sa mga litigations at iba pang mga legal concerns. DV Solicitors at 2nd floor, Howard House, St. John Street, Bedford, MK42 0DJ. Tumawag sa 01234-350-244 or 01234-225-188 o kaya naman mag-email sa d.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. Visit our website at www.dvsolicitors.com.
Mula sa kabisera ng Inglaterra, sa puso ng Britanya, London, UK. London, UK. Ito ang Channel Philippines Network. Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK. Sumasahing papawid 24 oras. 24 oras. Buong linggo. Sa www.pinoyradiouk.com. Ang mga pinakapaborito mga awitin, mga pinakaabangang programa, at mga sariwang balita at impormasyon mula at para sa mga kababayang Pilipino sa UK at sa buong mundo. Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK.
Okay, nako, tuloy-tuloy ho tayo sa ating programa, no? Dito po sa Legal Advice Corner on a Happy Tuesday. Ako po si SONNY LARAGAN. Siyempre, once again, welcome natin muli yung ating star of the show, no? Walang iba kundi si Attorney DANNA QUINTO. Attorney, good evening once again.
Good
Happy
evening,
Tuesday,
magandang Tuesday, Happy Tuesday once again sa ating mga ka-remote social bubble. And welcome back sa tinatawag nating dagdag kaalaman day. Ang dami nating mga kung ano-ano terminology dito. So yeah, welcome back.
Yes.
Exactly. Welcome back to Legal Advice Corner. At as we said earlier sa ating spoiler alert, ang ating topic po ngayon is matrimonial and non-matrimonial property in divorce. Last week, napasadahan natin to. I like the term na ginamit ni Mr. Laragan. Dumaan tayo dito sa topic na to last week. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. General principle lang. It's one of the most complicated, pinaka-complex, pinaka-technical na topic sa matrimonial finances. But we try to present the principle, the general principle to the clients when explaining kung paano mag-a-apply yung batas sa sitwasyon nila. Later as well, after the general principles, I will give practical advice. Ano yung lesson natin dito sa general principles na to, so that medyo less acrimonious, less na bitter yung divorce, or hopefully less expensive yung legal cost, less protracted ang inyong legal proceedings. So yes, without further ado, let's start. Matrimonial and non-matrimonial property. So parang by its definition, mukhang self-explanatory naman yung meaning, but not quite. Dahil this is family law, and family law in the UK is probably, or the family courts in the UK, I always say to my clients, sila ang pinaka-powerful, one of the most powerful courts in the land dahil they pretty much have, the judges have discretion sa interpretation ng batas. So, really take note of that. Isa yan sa makikita nyong pattern dito sa ating topic ngayon. Malalaman nyo din isa sa mga phrases, kung babalik tayo dun sa jargon buster natin, ang starting point is matrimonial finances, when the court or when lawyers try to split finances in the event of a divorce, the starting point is 50-50. However, may exception, if there is a good reason to depart from that, pwede kang mag-depart sa 50-50 at isang rason na ginagamit ng mga abogado or justification na ginagamit sa mga sa korte is identification of non-matrimonial property. So, pwede ang isang partido, sabihin niya, non-matrimonial to, less claim ka, ikaw na ex ko, less claim ka dito sa, hindi mo pwedeng i-claim 50% dito sa non-matrimonial na to. Ano ba example nitong non-matrimonial property nito? Number 1 is pre-acquired property. Pre-acquired by, meaning sa time na niya, pre-acquired bago kayo ikasal. So, example is before marriage, may na-build up ka na property portfolio, may na-build up ka na career, may na-build up ka na pera, whether inheritance, whether sarili mong gawa, na-build up mo na yung asset base na yan. So that's one thing na talagang kadalasan nilalaban ng mga kliyente o dun talaga sila minsan napofrustrate dahil you can imagine the psychology behind it is iniisip nila na look, ito naman galing sa parents ko o ito pinaghirapan ko bago pa kami ikinasal. Second is brought into marriage by an external source by one party. So externally, dinala dun sa marriage, pero one party lang. Example, a classic example of that is inheritance during marriage. So sasabihin nila, hindi binigay to, or gift, not necessarily inheritance only. Binigay to ng parents ko, binigay to ng lola ko, or this is pinamana ito, hindi ito joint enterprise namin, hindi ito galing sa akin during the marriage. So that's one of a classic example of potential non-matrimonial property. And again, third one, general principle lang is an asset that is solely the product of one sole endeavor. Siya lang talaga yung nagtrabaho, siya lang ang talagang fruit lang to ng extraordinary labor ng isang tao. Although very hard to prove yan kasi sasabihin ng isa, look, habang ginagawa mo yung extraordinary work mo, you come home and I feed you. So, yung third one na yon is less likely na identify. Although may sample cases tayo mamaya, and hopefully you'll find it quite interesting. So as we say, meron tayong chart, wala akong whiteboard, pero meron akong papel, isa yan sa mga ginagamit ko. I'm a visual person, so I do try to write it to clients when we do our advice. You often hear lawyers say matrimonial pot. So bilog kong nilagay, matrimonial pot. Or yung asset pot ninyo to start off. Nakalagay dyan, una, yung bahay. Pero, hindi lang yung bahay. So, see that circle? Andyan yung bahay, andyan yung cash, overseas cash. I put pounds there. I put pesos there. Pension. Inheritance. So when we do Form E or full and final disclosure, para malaman namin kung ano talaga yung inyong asset base, lahat kailangan i-disclose. Lahat yan kailangan nakalagay dyan. Hindi lang bahay, hindi lang yung cash sa bangko, pati overseas property or overseas cash, overseas bank accounts, you have to disclose that. Pati pension nyo, and if you've inherited anything during the marriage or even before, and any imminent inheritance. This is not a complete one, this is just a general principle. Mahaba-haba pa lahat ng pretty much all your assets and liabilities. So also loans, cards, lagay natin loan minus credit cards. So you get the gist. So ang takeaway ko dito is hindi lang bahay yung pag-uusapan pag you're dealing with matrimonial divorces. Most of the time, one of the common misconceptions that clients come to me is they will just focus on the house. And we put this illustration, kita mo lahat kailangan nating ilalagay sa isang pot, lahat yan, para i-consider yung hatian. Although the starting point is 50-50, meron pwede ka mag-depart ng 60-40 or whatever, depende sa complex arguments that your lawyers would use. And one argument that they will use, as I've said, is yung isang property is non-matrimonial. Either pinamana, na-inherit niya before the marriage, and so on and so forth. Now, the first general principle, and itong kailangan talaga, itong isa sa pinaka-importante na principle, bago tayo, I'm gonna use that, magri-ring fencing, so we call it ring fencing, yung bilog na yan, na red. Ring fencing, as the name suggests, it's a legal principle that we use. Bago mo sabihin, uy, akin lang to akin yan, di yan parte ng pot na yan, ring fence ko yan. So that's why may bilog-bilog yan na nakalagay dyan. That's inheritance. Kunwari, nakapag inherit before the marriage, and they're trying to ring fence that, akin lang yan, di yan parte. Before you do any of that, before lawyers deploy that argument, kailangan reasonable needs of both parties are met by this pot. So, ang first takeaway, hindi ka pwedeng magdamot is a strong word, hindi mo pwede i-ring fence, tanggalin yan sa consideration kung hindi enough tong asset base na to na magbigyan kayong dalawa ng reasonable needs nyo. And pinakamalaking reasonable needs dito sa UK is the housing needs. So kung hindi kaya ng pot na yan na mabigyan kayo ng pag-isang bahay, then, you know, less likely na magiging successful yung ring fencing argument na sa'yo lang yan. So nangyayari lang, kadalasan yung mga ring fencing, that's the reason why most of the cases, if you're a law student, you will see those cases, yung mga precedent na yun, mga legal principles na yun, in what we call big money cases. Dahil reasonable needs are met. By reasonable needs, iba-iba yan. Depende yan sa partido. Reasonable needs ni Paul McCartney and Heather Mills McCartney, which is a case that I will talk about shortly. And different sa reasonable needs ng isang average person, maybe, or average family, average income family, in Bedford. So it's subjective. What are the reasonable needs of this party? So yun ang bago ka sabihin na nako mas malaki yung parte ko, hindi mo pwede kunin, hindi natin pwedeng hatian yan, akin lang yan, pinaghirapan ko yan. It has to be that reasonable needs must be met first. Yan ang maririnig nyo sa abogado nyo, yan ang isa sa pinaka-importante. That is the priority, magnetic importance. Yan ang wording ng law. So, it can't be na aangkinin mo yung isang property na sa'yo lang kung naghihirap yung kabilang partido. Kung hindi, by naghihirap, hindi nami-meet yung most of the times I've said housing needs niya. In the case of Paul McCartney and Heather Mills McCartney, one of the probably the most popular divorce case, hindi lang sa news, hindi lang sa tabloid, but equally sa aming mga family lawyers. It's quite important because Paul McCartney asset base niya is 400 million. And they were married, short marriage. Ito isa sa features na to. Ito yung isa sa classic, very unique feature ng case na to. Short marriage, but with the child. So, very important yung primary consideration, yung standard, yung yung welfare ng bata, that the child is cared for. But at that time, all of their assets were pre-acquired. Lahat yon in-acquire ni Paul McCartney nung kasagsagan ng career niya. So everything, wala sila na joint enterprise. With all due respect to Mills McCartney, all of these are pre-acquired. The other side, Heather Mills McCartney said, gusto ko 125 million. Hindi man siya 50-50, but that's as close as possible. Napakalaki ng hinihingi niya. In the end, the judge gave an award of 24.3 million out of the 400 million. And this is an exceptional case. Hindi lahat ng case ganito na napakaliit lang matatanggap in terms of percentage ng kabila. Exceptional to dahil napakalaki ng asset base ni Paul McCartney. Exceptional contribution yung ginawa niya dun sa family asset nila. All of those are pre-acquired, brought into marriage brought into existence yung mga asset even before the marriage, and reasonable needs in that level have been satisfied. So may bahay, sabi ng korte, enough na yan to give you and the child a house and to live off for a few years. So all of that capital and income are satisfied. That's the reason why napakaliit ng percentage ang nakuha ni Mrs. Mills McCartney in that particular case. And also because it's a short marriage. So may mga listahan ng consideration. Hindi lang dahil minana mo yung isang bagay o ikaw ay napakagaling at genius or binigyan ka ng inheritance, kailangan, pwede mo nang sabihin yan o pwede mo nang sabihin na sa'yo yung asset na yan. So that's another takeaway. May other factors lang, hindi lang yung source ng asset. There are other factors that the court will look at. They will look at children's needs. They will look at duration of the marriage. They will look at future resources, not just current, future liabilities, not just current. And they will look at, ito yung magic operative word, ito yung talagang, if you're a law student, you will hear this a lot in law, all circumstances of the case. So a family court judge, it's quite very powerful in terms of looking at the case kasi meron siyang pwedeng gamitin na ganun na argumento when they look at or she looks at the case. So yan ang isa sa principle, that the first and the second principle that you need to look at if you're looking to say to your lawyer, nako, this property kailangan nating ilagay, i-ring fence yan, lagyan mo yan ng bilog na red, Attorney Dana. Now the second one, length of marriage as well will have an impact, but with length of marriage, nangyayari ay namimingle yung properties. Yun yung pinag-usapan natin last time. So, yung mga properties na dinala mo, sinabi mo, akin yan, dinala ko yan sa marriage, karamihan ng nangyayari, namimingle na, ginagamit para bilhin yung family home, ginamit na holiday home. So may mingling. Yun, and that's actually a legal principle, mingling. Namimingle mo yung non-matrimonial asset mo na dinala mo from 19 kupong-kupong na yun ang pinundar mo, namingle mo na yung cash mo, everyone uses it, may savings nyo, that's the saving na may access yung asawa mo. So that's an example of mingling. If you sold your business and then you bought your own home with it, that's a mingled property already. So that property is not necessarily non-matrimonial na kasi nag-change na yung feature niya. Ginamit nyo na pamilya eh. So it now becomes a matrimonial property. Again, that's another general principle. Dahil non-matrimonial siya noon, hindi ibig sabihin buhong buhay ng asset na yan non-matrimonial siya. Pag ginamit nyo, pag mininggle nyo, then potentially that feature can change. The characteristic of that asset can change. The court will look at these cases two ways. So, may iba-ibang approach ang korte. As I've said, I will just touch upon this on a general overview. Yung ibang approach, at first, tawag namin dito, formulaic. Hahanapin nila yung non-matrimonial and hahanapin nila yung matrimonial. And then they will make the distinction. And then they will say, okay, non-matrimonial. Kung meron man, not all the time, meron. And then they will look at the matrimonial and then they will make the division. As long as I've said, yung pinaka-importante, reasonable needs are met. Lahat okay. May bahay, and they're not sacrificing unjustly dun sa deal na yan or sa awards na yan. The other approach ng court is medyo broad brush. Ang term namin dyan, telescopic. So they will just look at everything. Katulad nitong ginawa ko. They will look at everything and they will make an adjustment. Kung 50 man yan, 55, 60, or 50-50 pa rin, they will make an adjustment based on their discretion. So both appears in case law, walang strictly tama o walang strictly need. Depends on each case. Yun yung pinag-usapan natin. That's the reason why we take each case as it is, as on its own facts. Hindi pwede na tong general principles na to. If you're at a situation ngayon na sa tingin mo, naku, yung ibang asset namin, ako naman nagdala nun sa o hindi naman na-mingle yun, hindi nga namin ginalaw yun. Or you might say, naku, may inheritance ako at hindi pa padating pa lang. I think the best thing to do is to seek legal advice still. As I've said, technical, komplikado, very interesting, very dynamic, nag-change. As we speak, may mga judgment na hina-hand down, daily in Supreme Court and Court of Appeal, which may change how lawyers look at the case, how judges look at the case. But may mga paraan, may mga asset na pwede mong, that's the reason why, kaya baka nyo matanong, bakit sinasabi niya napakamahal ang divorce or napakamahal magdebate about the divorce? It's exactly like this, because we have all these principles, and ultimately, it's up to the judge. Kung hindi kayo mag-agree, kung hindi kayo magse-settle, and if the lawyers can't settle it as well, ultimately, it's up to the judge, who may have a very wide discretion to make a decision on the case. So may element ng litigation risk. Pwedeng parang you might be taking a risk if you get it to a final trial, if you push it to a final trial, because a judge might see it differently, and they are well within their right, within their discretion, to do that. So as I've said, ito lang yung main overview about this topic. Pero what does this mean? Ano ang practical implications? Ano ang lesson, moral lesson ng sinabi natin ngayon? Na sinabi natin, yung pala, needs are important, length of marriage, pag mininggle ko, hindi na yan siguro non-matrimonial, and yung judge pa rin ang magsasabi kung anong gusto niyang mangyari sa buhay namin. What does that mean? That's the reason why, number one, it might be good to have a prenuptial agreement. So, if you are thinking, napaka-unromantic ng prenuptial agreement, actually, there is a logical reason why it may be better. It may actually avoid you the cost of a very long legal battle later on. Kung kayo, alam nyo na ngayon pa lang kung ano ang non-matrimonial at matrimonial, kung ano ang separate property, so you can deal with it accordingly as well. Hindi natin gagalawin niya kasi sabi natin separate yan, or this will be joint, eto atin yan. The expectations are clear. Alam nyo ang gagawin nyo as you go along your marriage. And as I've said, yung prenup niya, may mga inbuilt review dates. Kung may bata, may anak na kayo, length of marriage, as we said. So that hopefully should guide you so that you don't have to have that big fight if the marriage um, does not work out in the future. And hopefully you don't have to be, you know, at the at the mercy, at the under the discretion, nakarely lang kayo dun sa discretion ng judge if you can't settle. So it gives you that a level of certainty, just in case. Hindi lang ito dahil din, you know, one party gustong gulangan yung isang partido. It's really to set out what will happen, to answer those questions para klaro sinong nagdala ng anong property at the marriage, ano yung mga value ng property na yan, ng asset na yan, and what will happen in the future. So this might be a good basis, a good justification for a prenuptial agreement. The second one is, if you kung walang prenup and if you have a non-matrimonial property, as much as you can, although hindi to guarantee, dahil, as I've said, needs pa rin, reasonable needs pa rin, ang final na criteria, na-satisfy na ba yan? Reasonable needs na yan. What you can do as a precaution is, hindi mo imimingle. Hindi mo gagamitin, hindi gagamitin ng pamilya mo. But then, some would argue, tama ba yan? Or would that be fair? Or would that be, would that be a definition of family? That's the reason why we say it's better to talk about it. It's better to, at least from the start, alam nyo na kung ano yung ma-expect ng both parties at ng pamilya, what's for the family, and what's, sometimes you're trying to probably just pass it on to the generation, to the next generation. We see it often in big money cases when we read it in judgments. The reason why they are not mingling, hindi nila pinapagamit in terms of the families, hindi dahil pinagdadamot, but one of the reasons cited in a case law is steward lang daw sila, tagapag-alaga lang sila ng asset na yan, hindi yan para sa kanila or sa family nila, but they were there to just look after that asset para mabigay nila sa next generation. So that's one of those, I think it was a aristocratic family that was or a big farming family, and that was their reason for why they were trying to ring fence, they were trying to preserve that asset and not to mingle that with the other's asset, or not allowing the family to use those assets. And the third and final na takeaway, malakas ang judicial discretion. Yun yung term namin, judicial discretion. That's really, it's up to the judge. Yun yung maririnig nyo sa lawyers niya. Ultimately, it depends on the judge's interpretation of the law. It depends on their application of the law sa facts na iprepresent sa kanila. So they will be presented with facts, and sometimes those facts are also disputed. So pipili sila kung sino yung who they will side with in terms of the facts, and then they will also have the discretion to apply the law as they see fit, using their judicial discretion. At may mga checklist, madami sila, hindi lang yan isa, madami silang factors na kailangan i-consider. So we're not talking about a calculator here na pag nilagay mo yung figures, it will come up with percentage. Ito dapat 38% or 45% para kay Heather Mills McCartney, and kay Paul McCartney 55% or 56%, whatever it is. It isn't an exact science. May spectrum ng reasonable award for each case. Could be this, could be that, reasonable yan within this spectrum, and ultimately, it's up to the judge. So that's the reason why, if you ask us a question, us lawyers, so what do you think, Attorney Dana? Ano kaya yung percentage ng hatian? That's the reason why we say we can't give you an exact answer. We can't give you an exact percentage. We could probably give you a range. Na, ito, my gut feel is, nasa reasonable na yan, from this one to this one. But most often than not, what we give you are options and principles, and then the way to solve the problem. That's the reason why we really encourage the client to settle. because may risk that a judge may have five solutions or five judgment para sa isang kaso. They will have, or different judges would look at it differently. That's probably a better way to put it. But yeah, I hope that's interesting. I hope the visual aid, next time siguro magkakaroon tayo ng ano dito, whiteboard. I hope that at least gives you a snapshot of why I'm looking at all your assets, hindi lang yung bahay nyo, and why hindi mo pwedeng i-ring fence kung hindi pa reasonable needs are met, and why even if you may think strongly about the case, ultimately a judge has a discretion. Merong right ng judge to look at your case and may interpret it differently than what your lawyers may think. But yeah, that's really matrimonial and non-matrimonial property at a glance, as an overview. And if you do have a case, if you are thinking of a similar argument, please get your specific legal advice for your own case. Hindi lang po ito ang basihan.
Okay. Bago lang medyo mag-comment lang ako, attorney, o magtanong-tanong lang. Dalawang words ang medyo intriguing for today, yung mga sa discussion mo, yung magnetic importance. Ngayon ko lang narinig yung magnetic. Is it a terminology just as a legal, this is a magnetic importance?
It's a wording from a judgment, a well-known judgment in law, and lawyers use it. In family lawyers, if you're in law school, use it, your teachers will be impressed. Magnetic importance.
Ayun, ngayon ko lang, narinig natin mga primordial importance. Yeah, primordial, ba? Primordial. Pero, nadinig ko ngayon. Hindi, sa legal kasi, di ba, kamukha ng word, medyo iba eh. Kamukha ng, for example, yung prescription, di ba? Sa ordinaryong yung prescription ng doktor. Pero sa batas, prescription, pag lumagpas na, di ba, paso na, something like that, nag-prescribe yung action, di ba? May prescription. Ayun, may mga bagay-bagay, no? Isa pang na-pick up ko, yung sinabi mong, hindi broad brush, telescopic yata. Broad brush, exactly. Telescopic.
Exactly.
Yan ang tawag ninyo? Telescopic din?
We use it's a less used word. We mostly use a broad brush. Yan ang mas ginagamit namin na term, broad brush approach. You will hear that often if you're a lawyer. If you're a law student, again, use that word, beautiful word. Your teachers, your lecturers will be impressed. Broad brush approach.
Ayun, no. Talagang may impress, no? Kasi Alex, kung mag-aaral ng law, no? Yung anak ni, di ba, ni Edgar Duway, di ba? May impress sila, no? Sabi mo, in the end, parang you would be giving options, say, for example, to the client, but you, as much as possible, would encourage them to parang settle ba? How would you call that? Yung how to settle ba? Settle na lang, no? Yung to pag-usapan, no? Kasi are you saying kasi pagka yung mga options na yung for example kung ilalaban o makikipag may danger sa judge yung judgment ng judge, di ba? Tama ba 'yan?
Exactly.
Baka right. Hindi favorable sa iyo. Okay.
Exactly.
Say for example hindi favorable sa kliyente. Halimbawa, kliyente mo o kaya kunyari meron ba mga cases na nilalaban pa nila? Kunyari, ang judgment ng judge, ganito. Sabi mo, hindi mo sigurado yung hatian. Hindi mo masabi, 30, 40, 50, 60. Basta wala kang, you cannot pinpoint the exact percentage kung paano. Kasi katatanungin ka, Attorney Dana, anong percentage kaya ang makukuha ko niyan or something, no? So, let's say, napunta sa husgado. Hindi maganda yung judgment sa kanya. Ano ba? Yan ba sa law ba? Nag-appeal din ba? O pinatatagal ba? Or yan ba'y amongst mayayaman lang? Yung mga may pera? Pagka medyo malaki pinag-usapan. Pero yung mga mahihirap, kunyari, na maliliit lang, hindi masyadong pinaglalaban.
Yes, pwede ka mag-appeal, just like civil cases, there is a route for appeal, but ang tanong on a practical basis, ano yung value ng pinaglalaban mo? So if you're looking at, and what I'm saying, why I'm saying this, hindi natin minamaliit, nilalagay lang natin from a purely investment, like an economic point of view. Are you arguing for an extra 20,000 or 10,000 pounds sa hatian? But kung ilalaban mo siya, you might have to spend 20,000, doble, or 30,000. It doesn't make economic sense, di ba? Bakit yun ang gusto mo? So lalaban ka, tataya ka, mag-outlay ka ng 20 to 30,000 para manalo lang ng 10,000 pounds. It doesn't, we as lawyers would really have to underline to you na hindi proportionate. Ayun ang isa sa word na parati namin ginamamit. Hindi proportionate. Hindi ka magsispend ng 3 pounds para manalo ng piso, ng 1 pound. So that's on just a practical basis. Although I know of individuals who would do it just because of principle, but at the end of the day, hindi lang pera, but also peace of mind, time, resources, yung buhay mo na you're spending in litigation. You're spending talking to your lawyers, you're spending thinking about this case. So hindi lang ang objective dito is obviously for you to survive life post-divorce financially, but also how you do it with everything intact, yung psychological health, mental health intact, that you get to have a peace of mind. So that's the reason why we have to look at as early as possible how much are those two arguing? Ano pa yung mga disputed sum? And is it going to be worth it for them to spend how much money per lawyer? Or can they reach a deal? Because if they go for a further appeal, they're just burning their monies with lawyers. And we say that exactly. You're burning your money with lawyers. In certain instances, that's the reason why we see a lot of the big money cases going to Court of Appeal, to Supreme Court, because the value of what they're arguing, 500,000, 1 million, in this particular case, 100 million difference, yung expenses, the legal costs that they will incur, this mas mababa di hamak dun sa the gain that potentially one party will get. So that's only on a purely economic point of view. That's the reason why those cases, bigger gain, sila yung nagpupush into higher na mga tiers ng appeal.
Ayan. Oo. Well, tama rin naman sinasabi mo, no? Gagastos ka ng 3 pounds to get 1 pound. Yung mga malalaki, hundreds of millions ang pinag-uusapan, okay lang dahil konti lang siguro yung legal fees compared to the amounts of these people, di ba,
Exactly.
are worth, no? Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Well, very interesting, maganda tong pinag-uusapan natin, no? Marami pala, mga length of marriage, ganyan, no? So, ayan. Tapos sabi mo nga, it might, one of the, parang mawala din ng headaches is having a prenup, no? Which is good,
Exactly.
no? And of course, yan, because that also has the inbuilt mga review dates pa yan, di ba? Baka pwedeng, pag nagkaanak, nagbabago na yung mga, di ba? Yung mga financial, no? Statuses niyo, no? So,
Exactly.
ayan, okay. Well, kung may mga tanong pa sila lalo, no? How do they contact your attorney? How, paano, let's for example, say, if people who are watching right now would have, alam mo naman, pag-ibig, masarap sa simula, later on, di ba? Very sweet. Gaganda ng mga Instagram photos, mga Facebook photos, di ba? Pinapatato pa yung pangalan mo sa...
Pakita to dapat sa mga prenup video, yung legal advice ko. Corner.
Yeah,
Papa.
oo.
Yeah. No, I
Diba?
think balance din naman. May mga bagay na ultimately kayo lang mag-asawa, no matter kung ano sabihin ng lawyers na nakapaligid sa inyo at the start of the marriage. It's your life. So you have to make a decision about it. Ang importante ay alam mo kung ano yung options mo. Alam mo kung pwedeng mapag-usapan o kailangan pag-usapan, mapapag-usapan nyo. But ang gusto pa rin naman natin sa lahat ng mga ikinakasal, hindi sila umabot. I would never ever wish divorce on anyone. I think it would be an unkind thing, a very cruel thing to wish upon anyone. So when we say these things, hindi to sa wini-wish natin yung isang partido or isang marriage to go that way. Sana hindi to gamitin ng kahit sinong tao. However, yung reality nangyayari. So, isipin nyo kung ano yung dapat na yung masakto sa sitwasyon nyo. May mga options tayo dyan. But even if talagang pag-ibig pa rin ang nanalo at sabi mo hindi bahala na anong mangyari. Okay, as long as you do it, you do that decision as an informed decision. And as I've said, if you are in such a situation at the moment na kailangan mo ng legal advice, please seek specific legal advice. Hindi ito yung general advice, hindi enough. I would say hindi, iba-iba talaga. So you can contact me at danna.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. or call me at 0123-422-5188 or any lawyer. Kung sa tingin nyo napakalayo namin, any lawyer, please do seek legal advice. Hindi enough ang general principle. You do need to have a chat with a legal advisor and see your options, especially for an early settlement, especially for a resolution na maaga, efficient, at makaka-move on kayo in a financially sound manner.
Ayan. Hindi natin wini-wish na maghiwalay kayo. As much as possible, di ba? Masarap ang pagmamahalan ng pag-ibig, di ba? Makinig ng mga love songs, di ba? May mga theme song pa sila, nagsimula, di ba? Parang masamang isipin na, di ba, sarap-sarap ng simula, tapos biglang mag-aaway. Pero this is the reality of life na. Eventually, di ba, either, may mga reasons, marami ng reasons. Ngayon nga, di ba, ang parang adultery or ganyan, walang problema rin sa United Kingdom. Hindi yan, di ba? Hindi na issue yan. At saka bago na ngayon. Ano na ngayon, attorney? Ano na yata ngayon? Wala nang reason, hindi na pwedeng, wala nang sisihan, wala nang reason, o mga ganun. No fault, divorce na ngayon, di ba? O basta gusto niyo lang mag-divorce, okay na yun. Di ba? Yun nga lang, pag-uusapan niyo kung may bata, yung finances, no? Pero dito, habang hindi pa rin tapos yung finances, attorney, pwede na divorce na, no? Di ba? Tama ba?
Pwede na. Wag mo lang gawing final. Wag niyo lang gawing final dahil it's still better for both parties na bago nila gawing final yon, ayusin muna nila. So you can progress it up until yung last stage. And then, yun din yung sinasabi ng korte. Kaya pinahaba ng konti yung preliminary stages. Pinadali kung paano mo kukunin yung divorce. Pero pinahaba ng konti yung preliminary stages up until conditional. It gives you time to talk about all these other stuff. The kids, the contact of the kids with their parents, with each parent, as well as the finances. So yun ang gamitin niyo yung time na yon para ayusin yung finances and then the contact arrangement.
Ayan, nakuha na ni ho ninyo, no? So maski paano ipasa ho ninyo, or you can also watch this, tell people to watch it again in case meron kayong mabalita ang kaibigan nyo na gusto malaman, no? O kamag-anak, itong pinag-usapan natin, no? Matrimonial and non-matrimonial, ano yun ulit, attorney? Properties, ayan, sa divorce. Okay, well, attorney, baka may mga shout-outs ka sa pagpapaalam natin. Go right ahead, please.
Shout out lang sa lahat ng mga, ang dami kasi ngayon na galing sa Nottingham at Derbyshire. So, shout out. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it. I look forward na makabisita sa susunod. So, sa lahat ng mga taga Derbyshire, taga Nottingham, sina Irene, sina Mr. Young. It's quite nice to see yung mga community members din na bumibisita sa ating legal advice corner. And dahil hindi ako makaget over sa dinami-dami ng medal, isang last congratulations sa aming cum laude na direktora, si Direk Paolo. We're very proud of you. Talagang isang session pa, Direk, na bibigyan ka namin ng palakpak at congratulations.
Yes.
We're very proud of
Siyempre.
her. Very, very proud of her. Kasi last week ata siya graduate eh. It's an amazing.
Early August yata, no? Early August.
Then buong August natin
Oo.
siya congratulate.
Hindi ko alam kung 7 ba ang medal o 8. Direct, ano ba? 7 ba o 8?
Madami. Ang dami.
7. 7 kasama na yung cum laude medal mo.
Cum laude.
Ayun,
Latin
okay.
honors.
So, 6 yung
yan.
awards. And then, bro mo, no? 7 ang medals.
Pagmamalaki mo talaga
So,
yan. Kasi pagmamalaki mo.
Pagka nagkaroon siya ng apo, at saka anak niya, at saka apo niya, at saka apo sa tuhod, di ba? O, pero mo, pagmamalaki na, yung lola ko, yung nagdidirect po sa legal advice corner, nakatanggap po ng 7 medalya. O, imagine mo yan. Eh, yung lola mo, minsan pakikipag-away pa yan. Yung lola mo, nakatanggap ba ng medalya? O, di ba? Mag-aaway pa sila. But you have to be proud, siyempre, di ba? Ano yan eh, it's a source of pride, kaya nga, di ba? So we're so proud. Congratulations, Direk, no? Si kay Paula Perez, yung ating director. So yeah, well, ikaw din, attorney. We're so proud of you, no? Imagine mo, no, yung achievement. Pero mo from the Philippines, from Coronadal ba? Coronadal, di ba? Coronadal. From Coronadal to the UK. Oh, imagine mo yan, di ba? It's been a journey, a wonderful journey din sa'yo. So, in terms of medalya, marami ka ng medalyang natanggap. Ika nga, no? So that's great. Okay, well, I guess it's time for us to say goodbye, no? Maraming salamat po mga kaibigan, no? At sana meron kayong napulot na information, learning. Sabi nga ni Edgardo, no? Happy Tuesday. You choose to learn today. So, thank you very much for being a part, no? So, maraming salamat po sa ating mga kababayan kayo na sumabaybay din sa palatuntunan na ito, no? So, let's do it again next Tuesday, no? Next Tuesday, no? Ano pa yan? Kailan ba next Tuesday? May ilang Tuesdays ba? May isa pa bang Tuesday sa August, attorney? Kasi kaya nag-outdoor ako. Kaya ako nag-outdoor kasi parang feeling ko, parang hinahabol-habol ko pa yung summer dahil mawawala na eh. Technically, by end of August, wala na, di ba? Parang, I'll see you in September when summer is gone, yung kanta eh. Kasi autumn na ho pagka September. Oo, so, but at least ikaw, attorney, Camino walk ka sa Compostela, Santiago de Compostela, no? So, at least, that was great, no? And I learned a lot from you kasi, sabi mo kasi yung last, I don't know kung last kilometer ba o last dun mo mafe-feel yung weight no? At the earliest, at the outset, okay lang. Pero yung final pala, no? Yun ang parang, wow, grabe, no? Dun mo na mafe-feel yung parang siguro bigat, although magaan pa siguro yun, no? Kaya lang talaga sa pagod na yun.
Pagod lang, sa pagod.
Magaan pa. Pero, at least nalalaman natin reality about yung ganyang mga situation when you're, di ba, coming from somebody, sabi nga from the horse's mouth, somebody who's been there and has done it, no? Done it, did it, ano ba expression na yun? And done it, something like that, no? Okay, I've been there, done it, been there, something like that, no?
Yeah, been there, done that, yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, something like that, yeah. Okay, so, attorney, we'll do it again next Tuesday. So, guys, we'll do it again next Tuesday. So, till then, this is Sonny here, sa ngalan ni Direk Pao, sa ngalan ni Attorney Danna Quinto, Paolo Perez, no, si Director, nagsasabing thank you very much sa inyo walang sawang pagsabaybay, no? We'll do it again next Tuesday, ho. So till then, take care, God bless, and good night. Bye.
Bye-bye!